What's up, guys? As I'm recording this, Halloween is next week, and I have two problems. One, I don't have a costume yet, and two, more importantly, I am still a certified scaredy cat. As long as I can remember, I have been terrified of the dark and being alone in it with my thoughts. I've avoided all things spooky, scary, and creepy because whenever I interact with that stuff, I freak myself out way too much. But I love fall and I love Halloween, and it would all be perfect if I could just get over this fear of mine. So today, I'm gonna dive into the unfamiliar genre of horror, put myself in my personal scariest environment, and use one of my favorite hobbies of reading to get over my deepest phobia. I am reading horror with the lights off to get over my fear of the dark. Knowing myself, there is no way I jump right into this with a real scary book. So, just like my elementary school days, I went over to my public library and checked out a Goosebumps. I chose Night of the Living Dummy because that one feels really iconic and also not too scary. So first, I'm going to read that book entirely in the dark with nothing but my little reading light in the corner of my room. And once I conquer that, I will move on to a real scary horror book and see how long I last. It's time to get goosebumps.
Viewer beware, you're in for a scare.
Hello. As a kid, I did read quite a few Goosebumps and Michigan Chillers books, but they never really scared me. There was never a real supernatural threat. It was all just like fun, no stakes. What was scary was when I would go to bed and somehow convince myself that there was a freaky little demon hiding in my closet. Now those stakes were high. So I think this will be a nice baby step into reading a real scary horror book. If it didn't scare me as a kid, there's no way it's going to scare me now, right? Right? Why am I actually terrified to read this right now? I cannot express to you how much I genuinely hate the dark. Like, I never sleep in pitch black. I never walk into a room with the lights off. Like, I gotta reach around the corner and flick the light switch first. So I'm scared, even for this one. I can't even imagine reading a real, actually scary one. Wish me luck. Okay, I just read about half the book. Not as bad as I thought it was gonna be. One of my roommates was out there bumping around. It sounded like it was in my room, and that was freaking terrifying, but I figured it out. It honestly doesn't look that scary in the footage. Here, let me show you my view. As you can see, you can't. If I turn the flashlight around, there you go. It was scarier to look up and around me than it was to just focus on the words and get engrossed in the story. There will be no safe space for my brain. It's either I am scared about the shadows in my room or I'm scared about the ghosts in the book. If my fear of the dark was a 10 before, now it's a 9.5. So that's progress. So first half of the book, easy dubs. Mostly. I was able to kind of hide in the story if I ever got scared of my surroundings, but that's not going to work with the next book, so that's a little bit worrying, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Let's finish this book first. Alright, it's time to freaking finish this book. It's cheating a little bit because my girlfriend's out there hosting a craft night, so I can hear voices, and it's pretty comforting to know that there are people out there and not just ghosts in your room. I think that's balanced out by me having just watched Over the Garden Wall last night. Certainly freaked me out anyway. Let's freaking go. Second half of the book? There was one moment. I heard a little at the foot of my bed when I had not moved a muscle. And the one semi-scary part of the book when the dummy was actually coming to life in the middle of the night was also happening in that moment. So I did sit there for a moment contemplating turning the lights on, but then I realized if I can't make it through one Goosebumps with the lights off, I'm doomed forever. So I finished it out, even with that one small hurdle. I'm sure that the shush was just me somehow, or a sound outside that sounded like it was in my room. I don't know. That's what I told myself anyway. So Goosebumps, Night of the Living Dummy. 3 stars. Wasn't even that scary, bro. These books are very much for kids and for kids only. And that's why I'm giving it 3 stars. I just feel like a good kids book has takeaways for adults too. And also, this kind of book is entirely to blame for the way that I wrote as a kid. New character enters, describe their entire physical appearance and all of their character traits. Never use those details again. Conversations are choppy and straight to the point. I shouldn't be too harsh. I love Goosebumps and I'm glad it exists, especially to get kids into the horror genre safely. I also liked when it would hint at something disturbing, but it was never real. They find a small, lifeless humanoid body in the dumpster, but it's just a dummy. The main character hears her twin sister scream, runs down into the dark, empty, quiet kitchen, steps in a puddle. It was spilled milk. That stuff at least was fun to read as an adult. But overall, my mind in a dark room alone is still scarier than this, and we still have a lot of work to do. And it looks like the sun's going down, so it's time to pick up the next book. I was in the library for a full hour just trying to find a run-of-the-mill haunted house book that would be equal parts creepy and spooky. I eventually landed on A Good House for Children, which is a fairly recent addition to the horror genre that came out in 2023. It had some decent reviews that all pretty much said that it was a run-of-the-mill haunted house story, so seemed perfect. It follows 2 parallel storylines that occur in the same house, this haunted mansion on the cliffside, but in different time periods. In 2017, a woman moves to the haunted manor with her 2 kids, one an infant and the other mute, and she's pretty much completely abandoned by her husband because he takes their 1 car into a different city for the entire work week and leaves her there only to come back for the weekends. The other story happens in the 70s and it follows this nanny who is also stuck in this house taking care of a bunch of kids. So not only is this book about ghosts, it's also about the suffocating expectations that women are faced with when they are forced into these nurturing roles without any regard for their own well-being. So a lot of scary things are going on, and I'm not sure I'm ready. Terrified does not begin to describe what I am. The sun is officially down. It is officially time for me to start reading this next book. I read the first 20 pages because I figured that part wouldn't be scary, and it wasn't. It was just relationship problems, which are scary in their own right, but not in the way that I'm going to want to turn on the light when I'm reading about them. It's not even 8 p.m., so the scary part of the night hasn't started, but I'm going to try to read for at least a couple hours. Hopefully I build up some confidence and, some strength. I fear it's just going to make me more scared. It's going to give me more scary things to think about. I need to get reading before it gets too late and I start getting too scared. So let's pick up the book, turn off the lights, and get reading. Maybe you can't tell from the video, but that was freaking scary, guys. I think it's just the knowledge that this is a scary book eventually that's freaking me out. Because it was honestly just being alone in a new place. There were so many little bumps going on. And I'm about to go drop a couple of the roomies off at a Halloween party that I'm not going to so I can finish this video. So I'm gonna be alone. Gah. So I just want to go through this time-lapse frame by frame because really a story unfolded here. It started off scary. I'm breathing heavy. I'm stressing. Oh, it's my scared fist in front of the mouth. Oh man, with the hand. In this moment, I had this reflex. Oh, that's me grabbing the remote that turns on the lights and staring up at my phone. Because you know what happened to me? I'll let myself explain. I blame Apple for this. I always have my notifications silenced, but today I had them on because I'm using my phone for the time lapse and I needed to see if Julia texted me. I needed to get the sound because I can't see the notifications. To make this the perfect storm, I have a bedtime set on my phone for 11:15 p.m. Totally forgot I had that set. It turns out it gives you a little ding 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 ding, which when you're reading a horror book in the dark, it's not the sound you want to freaking hear. So yeah, apparently the Apple sound for telling you to go to bed when you have set a bedtime for your phone is that creepy lullaby thing. And this book is about little kids in a haunted house. So that was the worst thing in the world that could have possibly happened. I was alone in the house. It was pitch black. That broke me. You can see I was like, oh. And then I was like, okay, that's fine. Let me just breathe. This is me just staring at the page and not even reading a single word, just contemplating, holding the remote in my hand, deciding to turn the lights on. Absolutely stressing. Eventually I decide that I'm going to try again. We go back to the dark, stressing even worse than before. It's not worth it. And we're back to the light. That is the end of my reading in the dark experience. So I made it about 70 pages into this book. That's not really enough to give it a fair judgment, but I will say that I like the subtlety of the haunting. It's only in very small, unsettling moments that you feel like something wrong or supernatural is going on, and it really builds a good suspenseful atmosphere. I feel like the characters could be a bit more developed, but that might happen later on. There's this awesome shop owner in the neighboring town to the haunted mansion that has some real character to him, but beyond that, everyone else at this point kind of just seems like placeholder caricatures of their respective roles. I don't know, don't listen to me. I am not a horror connoisseur, and I'm not even sure if I can finish this book in the daylight. But if you want to see me read a full horror book, let me know in the comments, and I will set up the brightest, safest, most cozy environment I can to read it in and get it done. Anyway, I think it's time to face my demons. This plan did not work, and I will be watching a lot of Minecraft videos to offset the discomfort I just faced. Look, deep set fears are not things that are going to go away in one night. They are things that are meant to be faced just a little bit at a time. Chip away until you see the core of the thing, and then it's not so scary anymore. That being said, it's going to be a while before I'm comfortable sitting in a dark room by myself. I love my little sun lamp, and I am probably going to be spending every night with it on for the foreseeable future. Did I fail today? Yes. I also still do not have a costume, but subscribe and I'll put it in the community tab. Alright, I have to go read with all of the lights on, but I will see you guys next time. Like and comment and subscribe and all the good things. Okay, bye.